personal for yourself. Discovering, enjoying, and profiting from massive open online courses. And the acronym is MOOCs. Now, you think of the sound that a cow makes. Moo. I would like everyone in the audience to please say MOOCs. One more time. MOOCs. Okay, great. Great. What we're going to talk about today is discovering, enjoying, and profiting from massive online courses, or MOOCs. My name is Jamie Murphy. I'm with the Australian School of Management, and I'm here on behalf of IFITTtalk. I like those smiles in the audience. Thank you. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll give you a little background on how the workshop will be run. I'll define and explain MOOCs. I'll talk about the evolution of MOOCs. I'll talk about MOOCs and you, what you can get out of MOOCs. Then I'll talk about MOOCs and your organization. Most everybody here has a job, and there are ways that MOOCs can be used in your organizations. I'll talk to you about choosing a MOOC. You guys are going, I don't know what a MOOC is, but I'm going to go choose one now. And then we'll explore some MOOCs, and then I'll close it for any questions, comments, and thank you for your presence. So, the background. Well, background on the presentation. I want to first thank Sri Lanka Tourism. I want to thank the Department of Economics at the University of Colombo. I want to thank the U.S. Department of State, because they have a model that we're going to draw upon a little bit. That's their MOOC camp. As I said earlier, I would like to thank the Kalamanda Unawatuna Beach, better known as UBR, for letting me run this workshop and giving me feedback on this workshop. What we're going to do now is an improved version on what they got. Of course, thanks to the International Federation for IT in Travel and Tourism. They're the ones that sent me here. And thank the Australian School of Management. Now, I put up there your presenters who we have referred to, and I've mentioned and I've pointed towards my wife, Laurel. Quite a bit of this research. She's operating the computer now, but she's done a lot more than operate the computer. A lot of this research, a lot of this presentation stems from research she has done. So as I mentioned in the last one, we've done several papers, and she's a key part of those papers. So thank you, Laurel. Finally, it'll be an interactive workshop. I'm going to be calling on you to say MOOCs. All right, you guys are doing well. And I'm looking on you to ask me questions if you have any questions as well. Don't wait until the end of the presentation. You're encouraged to ask me questions now. Okay. So what are MOOCs? The MOOCs are massive. Means lots of people. I'll come back to that in a minute. MOOCs are open. MOOCs are online, and MOOCs are courses. So we work back. So you're taking classes here right now at the University of Colombo, or you took classes at some school. These MOOCs are actually classes. They're courses. They have tests. They have readings. So a MOOC is an online, you do everything online, course, an online class. But a big difference is that MOOCs are open. There are no prerequisites. You don't have to have A levels to take a MOOC. You don't have to have prerequisites of taking Algebra 1 before you take Algebra 2. You can jump right in and take calculus if you want. And MOOCs are massive. The largest MOOC so far, the largest course so far, talk to your neighbor for a minute and say, how many people do you think were in the largest MOOC so far? Talk to your neighbor right now. Give them a number. right, you sir, what's your number? 10,000. Do I hear 15,000? 15,000. Do I hear 50,000? 50,000. 100,000. Do I hear 200,000? Oh, you've gone too far. The largest MOOC so far at one time had 250,000 people enrolled. So next time you say your class is too large, think about that number of 250,000 people taking the same class at the same time. So this is what we mean by massive. Not all MOOCs are massive, of course. Most MOOCs only have 10, 15,000 people, that's all. Just 10, 15,000 people taking the class at the same time. Massive, open, free. You don't pay anything. Online, you have to use the internet. Courses. It's a systematic, structured series of lectures, series of readings, series of exams. So these MOOCs, these are massive online, open online courses. And in the bottom, you can't quite see it from here, but two things drive these 250,000 people that take the MOOCs. One thing is the intrinsic, the internal, just the joy of learning. And research is showing that most of the people that are taking MOOCs are taking MOOCs for the intrinsic, for the personal motivation. Most of you are taking classes for the extrinsic motivation. You want a certificate. You want the credit. You want that piece of paper. And you probably said to your friends, well, if I didn't have to go to class and I didn't have to take the test, if I could just buy the certificate through eBay, I probably would. So that's an extrinsic motivation, but it's usually intrinsic motivation. This is something I want to learn. I want to be able to build websites. I don't want a certificate that says I can build websites. I want to be able to build websites. I want to improve my English. I don't want a certificate that says my English is good. I, myself, for me, I want to improve my English. So there's two kinds of motivations, extrinsic and intrinsic. And how the MOOCs work, the pedagogy. Is it lectures? Is it videos? Is it quizzes? Is it essays? Is it self-assessment? Is it peer assessment? That is all evolving. No one knows how it's going to end up. There is no standard MOOC. They're all over the place. And this is the early days of MOOCs. So what can we tell you about MOOCs? The very first MOOC happened in 2008. Happened in Canada. And a professor said, you know, I've got all the materials online. I'm recording my videos. Most of the assessment is peer assessment. I'm going to open this class up to anybody in the world. So we had 25 students that registered for the class, and they came to every lecture, and there were 24,975 students that were online. They never came to class. They never registered, but yet he allowed them to take that class. And he's a big believer in what they call open learning. And 50 years ago, a Russian philosopher by the name of Ivan Ilyich wrote a great book called Deschooling Society. And in that book, Deschooling Society, Ilyich proposed this wild idea that education should be open and free for all. It shouldn't be just for the privileged. It shouldn't be just for the elite. Education should be open and free for all. Well, 50 years later, Ilyich's dream came to realization at the University of Manitoba in Canada when Professor
Simon.
When Professor Simon
Is one of them.
Anyway, for some professor, you can get the name from her later. That's a good thing she's here. Thank you, Laurel. When he said my class is going to be open to all. So this ideal of free and open education for all. Stanford and MIT, two elite universities in the United States, Stanford in Palo Alto, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston, they said, hey, we have a mandate to educate. We have lots of money. We think this would be a good thing socially. We're going to open our classes. We're going to have MOOCs. And Stanford and MIT in their inaugural MOOCs each had over 150,000 students. So 150,000 students registered for the class and took the class. Now at Stanford, the lecturer, he was kind of blown away. He's got 150,000 people in his, he didn't take roll every day, of course, but he's got 150,000 people in his class. And he said, I'm going to make the final exam really hard. Really, really hard. I mean, really, really hard. Harder than it's ever been. Of those 150,000 people, not all of them are there by now. Many of them have dropped out. But 10 people got a perfect score. 10 people got a perfect score. He had 40 students taking the class for credit and 960 people taking the class via a MOOC. Of the 10 people that got a perfect score, none of them were traditional students. These were students that were going to class every day. These were students that had gotten into Stanford. These were students that had paid the fee. Of those 10 students that got a perfect score, one was 15 years old. A 15-year-old boy who hadn't graduated from high school took a Stanford, kind of a junior level class, not an introductory class, but maybe for the third year, and he got a perfect score. And he lived, and he's from Mongolia. So English isn't his native language. He hasn't graduated from high school. And he's doing better than all the enrolled students in the class at Stanford. For me, that is a wonderful story about making education open and free for all. So Stanford and MIT did their MOOCs. They got very good publicity. And in the year 2012, the New York Times said, wow, 2012 is the year of the MOOC. These things are here. MOOCs have evolved into two different types. One type resembles the classroom, the traditional classes you're taking. You study, you memorize, you take a test, you move on. You study, you memorize, you take a test, you move on. These are what they call X-MOOCs, or the traditional MOOCs. And most of the MOOCs out there tend towards being an X-MOOC. The very first MOOC, however, was a C-MOOC, or a connectedness MOOC. And in those, what do you want to learn? How are you going to learn it? You're in charge. Talk to the other students. Figure out what you want to do. You drive your learning. So it's a very different philosophy on how these two MOOCs work. And in reality, most MOOCs are a blend. They tend to be a little more X or a little more C. But there are two types of MOOCs that are evolving. And I'm going to give you kind of the third model in a minute. New businesses have started up. We'll go to the website later on of Coursera, which is one of these new businesses. edX, Coursera is out of Stanford. edX is out of the Ivy Leagues, Harvard, Princeton, Cornell. You've got Canvas Networks. There's probably a dozen of these new companies that are hosting and running MOOCs. MOOCs have grown rapidly. There are almost 5,000 MOOCs available. and over 100 million people have enrolled in MOOCs. Some of these people are multiple MOOCers. So some people have taken 10, 15, 20. I've probably signed up for a dozen, mostly just to see what content is there. One of the interesting things about MOOCs is that very few people finish them. People start a MOOC for personal knowledge, for intrinsic motivation, but they don't want to take a test. They just want to work on one little bit of that. Laurel took a MOOC on baseball statistics. She's not a big fan of statistics. She's a huge fan of baseball. And if you want to ask her about the World Series, it starts next week. She can tell you the teams, which team it'll probably be, which team it'll probably win, and she can probably give you some statistics on the teams and on the individual players. But she never finished the MOOC. She didn't take it for the extrinsic. She didn't take it for the certificate. She took it for the personal enjoyment of learning about baseball statistics. I've yet to take her to a cricket match, but I will. She has to go to a cricket match. How MOOCs are going to end up, we don't know. No one knows. Okay, next slide. One of the interesting things that's developed is the U.S. State Department has said MOOCs are a good thing for development. And the U.S. statement has come up with a model that's not quite a MOOC, not quite a traditional classroom. And they call it blended learning. And blended learning is a bit of offline and a bit of online. And they have run these MOOCs in over 60 countries. And with that, the embassy makes an announcement. They said, we're going to be running the MOOC. You're welcome to come take it. We've got a facility set up. And every 2 weeks, we'll have a classroom where you can share, where you can talk about the MOOC you're taking, the kind of issues you're having, and how it's going with that MOOC. The U.S. State Department has had over 4,000 participants in their MOOCs in these 60 different countries. Now, most of these MOOCs, only between 5 and 10% of the people complete. So I remember I told you I signed up for about 12 MOOCs. Well, I've only finished 5 of them. Funny enough, they were all MOOCs by Google. Google is doing this as well. So I did a MOOC on Google Maps. I did a MOOC on Google Analytics. I did a MOOC on Google Search. It's fascinating the people that are playing this game. But these State Department MOOCs have between 40 and 80% completion rate. So normally it's 5 to 10, but these things going on at the State Department, it's between 40 and 80%. The MOOCs run localized content. So the U.S. Embassy talked to the Sri Lankans and said, what kind of needs, what kind of skills would you like? And they said, we would like shaping the way we teach English. So it's a class for people that are going to teach English. So the embassy, right there on Dall Street, not at the embassy itself, but they sponsored and ran a facilitated MOOC on shaping the way we teach English, and this ran in April and May of last year. But this idea of blended or group learning is a very, very good application of MOOCs, and I think that it's a great idea for the classroom and for the lecturers to say, wait a minute, I will have my students take this MOOC, and we'll use the classroom for discussing what the problems are. We're going to run sustainability, which is a class that the University of Illinois runs. The students will get a certificate from the University of Illinois, and they'll get course credit from the University of Colombo. And the other thing the State Department has done is they put together a facilitator's guide. And it's really how to run a MOOC successfully where you do blended learning, where you meet online and offline. And some of the things, and the link for the facilitator's guide is up there, But you can use this as a student, you can use this as an organization, you can use this as a lecturer. But some of the things that are up there are how to run these facilitated camps. And first thing you do, you have to prepare the participants. Well, I've never studied online, I don't know what to expect. And by preparing the students, they're able to get these much higher completion rates. Second thing is structure the discussions. So it's really discussions. It's not about regurgitating the material that the students are supposed to have read. It's about structuring the discussion, more of a seminar type of setup, and to try and get some real world projects. I think that's one of the things I think is great with the master's students here. They're all doing a project, but it's got to have industry relevance. So doing something that's relevant for industry. Enrichment activities, bring in guest speakers, bring in virtual speakers. So Dr. Saranga, I'll be more than happy to give a virtual presentation. So maybe we use Google Hangouts, maybe we use Google Skype, but for one of your classes, if you're looking for a guest speaker, I'm only 2.5 hours different from you. So yeah, I'm happy to come speak at the University of Colombo. Yeah. But I'll be in my office at home wearing shorts. And I won't have shoes on. But I'll have a tie on. But you won't know I have shorts on. Also, what some of these facilitators have done is they've talked to the course organizer for that MOOC, and they've got the course organizer to come in and do something special just for that class. And then community building. Maybe a fan page, a Facebook fan page, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe a Twitter. But the successful ones are using some of the social media. Community leaders, getting them involved, and involving the participants themselves. So you ask the students, what would you like to do? So these are some of the things that the State Department has found leads to success. So, Aji, if you want to run some of these MOOCs at Calamander, Unuwatuna Beach, then you have to think about some of these things and you say, okay, we create a little community of these learners. So maybe it's a front office community or a dining room servers community or whatever it is. What do you yourself get out of these MOOCs? Everybody in this room, there's probably something you'd like to learn more about. You can go to Wikipedia and look it up. That's pretty easy. But you want to go a little deeper. So you can go in and look at the content, watch the videos for free. So anybody in here like to cook? Come on, somebody must like to cook. There we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. You can go back this afternoon and you can take a MOOC. You can go watch a video with 15 world-class chefs, and these videos talk about the science of cooking, the chemistry involved in cooking. These are chefs that are lecturing to you, and I must tell you who sponsors this MOOC. It's a university out of Boston called Harvard. So this afternoon, you can go online and you can sign up for the Harvard MOOC on the science of cooking, and you can watch videos of world-class chefs. Do you have to take the test? No. Do you have to watch the whole video? No. Do you have to do the readings? No. This is intrinsic. You're doing it for yourself. So if you find yourself going down to the bottom of that YouTube video and you see there's another 12 minutes left, just leave. You're driving your own learning. So free knowledge, convenient time, whenever you want. No travel. You got to have internet, but you don't have to drive to campus. And as I keep trying to emphasize, there's no shame in not completing. A colleague, a friend of law of mine, a lady by the name of Nadia Kalabaska, Belarusian lady from Minsk, living in Lugano, who speaks 5 languages. She just finished her PhD. And she didn't think her English was good enough, and she didn't think her statistics were good enough for the PhD. So she enrolled in a MOOC on English, and she enrolled in a MOOC on statistics. She never took the tests. She never got a certificate. She just wanted to learn statistics. She just wanted to improve her English. Was she ashamed? No, she got a PhD. She was very proud. But that MOOC helped her get the PhD. You can finish, and if you finish, you can get a certificate of completion. So just as you got a certificate today, those of you that help with world tourism today, you can get a certificate of completion. You must pass all the exams, and most of them you have to get about an 80% or higher, but you can get a certificate. How much does the certificate cost? Nothing. Zero. You can buy a certified certificate. You can pay $50 and you can get a fancy certificate, or you can just get a regular certificate for free. And be careful, these websites try and trick you into the pay-for path. But you can get these certificates for free. There's no magic to it. You can pick and choose the content. You don't have to take the whole MOOC. You choose the MOOC you want, and you choose the content you want within that MOOC. And finally, you can get some experience for using MOOCs with your employees, for using MOOCs as a group, for using MOOCs in the classroom. So I've taken MOOCs. I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it from experience. I like the Google MOOCs. I'm a better searcher because of that. So I'm very, very happy with that, and I can speak from experience. So you don't have to finish, but you can take these MOOCs for free on whatever interests you. So how can you use it within your organization? As I said earlier, I've given presentations to Sri Lanka Tourism and given presentations to Colombo Beach, Uluwatuna Beach. And these are great things for employee skills, for training your employees. They're great things for using in the class. So as a student, you can find some more readings. As a lecturer, you can give your students assignments from the MOOC. You can just say, this is your assignment for the next class. It's an organization, you can use it for upskilling your organization. The MOOCs are usually broken down into modules, so you don't have to do the whole MOOC, so you can pick and choose. You can use it for group training, for facilitated training, like I was talking about with the MOOC camp. And you can use it for the flipped classroom. And this is what some of the lecturers are doing. The lecturers say to the students, you complete this assignment, you complete this module before class, and then we use class to talk about it. So instead of going to the lecture and just listening to the lecturer, you listen to the lecture, you watch the lecture, you do the readings beforehand, and then you come to class and you break into groups and you discuss it. And this is the flipped classroom. It's a great, great concept. So when you go to choose a MOOC, I'm trying to get you to take a MOOC, and when you go to choose a MOOC, by the way, did you know, remember what Patty said? He said, just get out there and do it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, is to just get out there and do it. Just get out and take a MOOC. But look at the topic. There's 5,000 MOOCs out there. Choose a topic that interests you. Look at the top, look at the content within the MOOC. Look at the individual modules. Look for self-paced versus fixed dates. One of the disadvantages is that a lot of these MOOCs start on a particular time and finish on a particular time. These are the ones with fixed dates. Others of the MOOCs, you can start and stop anytime you want. So we'll go through some examples, but consider this when you start looking at these MOOCs. There's a few MOOCs running that right now that are very, very relevant. Pradeep has enrolled in a MOOC called E-Tourism Communication Perspectives. And that E-Tourism Communication Perspectives has been running for a couple of weeks now. And that would be a good way for you guys just to have a little go, have a little look. But that MOOC is running now. And then finally, look at the provider. I don't know about you, but I associate Harvard with being prestigious. So you might want to go home to your family and say, hey, Dad, yeah, I went to Harvard today. I learned about the science of cooking from Harvard. You know, Dad, you want to go to Harvard? Mom, you like to cook. You want to go to Harvard? I'll take you to Harvard tonight. There's a bit of prestige with who the provider is. Okay? Now, Brady, can you help me get online to this list? I think, is that the next slide, Paul?
Yeah, but you need to add about 6 days to the contact with it.
Oh, thank you. It's a good thing she's here. These MOOCs that have fixed dates, the content is still there. You just can't do the assessment. So the videos, the lectures, the readings are there. What's not there are the tests and the certification. The content's there. So the IFIT website has a list of MOOCs in hospitality and tourism. And I think I'm going to walk over here and just point at a couple of them. Come back up a little bit. Oh, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Sorry. So we broke these MOOCs down into 3 sections. First section are basic. They're very short, 1 to 2 hours to complete, 2 to 3 hours to complete, 2 to 3 hours to complete. They're very, very short, and they're good as introductory. These are the ones that I'm trying to get Calamander to consider. You know, they're the easiest ones, they're the basic ones, are the ways to get started. But look at some of the titles. Tourism, marketing and promotion. I mean, who doesn't want to know about tourism and marketing and promotion that's in this field? English for tourism, restaurant service. Now, I think it would make sense to have your servers look at this MOOC, English for tourism, restaurant service. These are all provided by a company called Allison. Allison is out of Ireland, and they have hundreds of MOOCs. They've had 5 million learners so far, Allison. And they do mostly the basic, the entry-level kind of MOOCs. But quite a few here through Allison, and you can come back to these later. We can come down to that next one. Stop here. There's one other provider that we classified, and Laurel and I did this, that we classified as having short, basic MOOCs. And that's Taylor's University out of Malaysia. And Dr. Saranga de Silva and your dean, about a month ago, were in Taylor's University. So they're quite familiar with this group. Laurel and I are familiar with the Dean of International Relations, Mary Hobson. But they have one MOOC, has 5 modules, takes a couple weeks. Wonderful styles of food and beverage around the world. So it's an introductory. It's a great class for people, first year students getting into the hospitality industry, new employees in the hospitality industry, to give them a global perspective on what's going on with food and beverage around the world. The next group of MOOCs we classified as intermediate to advanced. Allison has a diploma in customer service. Takes about 6 to 10 hours, and it has 9 modules. So you might want to take just 2 of those 9 modules. You might want to take 4, you might want to take none. But when you choose a topic, look at that. It's self-paced, meaning you can stop and start anytime. Please, if you see any mistakes on this page, those of you are familiar, web pages change. You go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, the web page is gone, the web page is out of date, something's happened. But my email address is at the bottom of this page. If you see any things that have changed, let me know and we'll keep updating the page. Cornell University, one of, if not the premier hotel and restaurant schools in the world. Cornell runs an 18-hour, it's 6 modules, it's about 6 weeks. Cornell just introduced a phenomenal introduction to global hospitality management. So again, there's a week on human resource management, there's a week on marketing, I think there's a week on front office. So you can go in and you can look at all of the content, or you can look at the content just on a particular module. Organization out of Spain, the MOOC itself is in Spanish. Coming down next, you've got 4 from the Essex Business School. The Essex Business School is one of the great business schools out of France. This one is based in Paris. They've also got a branch in Singapore. But they have a series of 4 MOOCs, usually dealing with distribution. Can you come down a little more? University of Bocconi out of Milan in Italy. They've got one on managing food and beverage companies. Where's my chef in the back? You, sir. The next one down here is from Harvard. From haute cuisine to the science of soft matter. All right? So you can go home and watch videos tonight at Harvard with chefs. Taylor's has a great one on introduction to wines. A lot of restaurants want to increase their wine sales. So here's a course on introduction to wines, Wines 101. You can take one from Taylor's, or you can take one from the University of Bourgogne or Burgundy University, or the Open Wine University. Adelaide, you can take one from Adelaide, but this is more on the production, how to make wine. So you start with grapes and you end up with a glass of wine. But if you're interested in it, and that's the wonderful thing about the MOOCs, it's whatever interests you. And you don't have to take the whole thing. You can just learn about the grape varieties, or you can learn about grape fermentations, you can learn about wine fermentation, you can learn about aging. It's just really up to you. Some down here from the University of Central Florida, looking at tourism industry analysis and financial management. So those of you that are more accounting focused. Okay. And then finally, we got a section of sustainability MOOCs. And one of the hot topics in hospitality and tourism is the idea of sustainability. So these aren't hospitality and tourism per se, but they're certainly about sustainability. Columbia University, top university out of New York, Illinois University, University of Bath, and University of Nottingham, both in the UK. But these things are all over the place. There's a hangout on air that IFIT ran that was with myself, Bruce at Cornell University, and Nadia with the University of Cittadella County on that. And then I think, is my email address maybe up higher? Nothing. So there's my email address. And if you see any mistakes or if you see something you'd like to add, please let me know. And then if you could go to Coursera.org, please. Yeah, I'll let you do that. So what I'm going to do now is go to the leading provider of MOOCs, a company called Coursera.
Started by that Stanford professor.
Started by the Stanford professor that did Stanford's first MOOC.
Some of you might have heard him. His name is Andrew Lee, NG. And he's doing some phenomenal work in
machine learning
and keystrokes, identifying like your fingerprint, but with your keystroke. So he's doing this great research at Stanford on developing identification by your keystroke, like similar to your fingerprint. And a lot of artificial intelligence they're gathering from the MOOCs that they are providing. Coursera is very interesting. I'm very fond of them. They really, really believe in open education globally.
So, just because he was good to me, I'm going to call him the chef back there. What's a topic that interests you? I need you to speak way up. Sorry. He's saying methods to barbecue different types of meat. I don't think there'll be a MOOC there, but Laura, if you please search for barbecue. I asked you, you told me. Good on you. Barbecue. We've never looked this up. No results found. Try cooking.
Keep cooking.
Just cooking, just to get an idea. They say don't call on people if you're nervous about what they're going to say. Or you're not. Now, he said he goes to what's available on YouTube. And what's available on YouTube is fantastic. And a lot of the content from these MOOCs ends up on YouTube. What you get with the MOOC that you don't get with YouTube is you get the structure. And you get the assessment. But there's, YouTube's great.
That's going to have barbecue.
Yeah, all right, so we've got, I don't know how, we've got 6 matches up there. Child nutrition and cooking, the science of gastronomy, the meat we eat. There you go. That's out of the University of Florida. I graduated from that university. There's a place there called Sonny's Barbecue just outside of town. Oh my God.
You want me to click on it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it runs from April to June. 7 weeks of study, 5 to 7 hours a week. It's in English, and the content will still be there. You have to register before you get the content. The syllabus, you talk about the U.S. history, production systems, and comparisons. Humane slaughter and muscle composition. U.S. inspection and food safety, U.S. grading, facilitation, bulk purchasing and packaging, palatability, cooking, and processing. So you might just jump to week 5. You might just say, I want to get some of the structure on cooking and some of the process of cooking. It's not that you want to make a slow roasted brisket or beef, but you just want to see about roasting versus broiling versus baking, for example. So you would look at the syllabus, you jump down to week 5, you'd enroll, you jump into the content on week 5. You wouldn't take any tests. You just watch the videos, you might do some of the reading, and then you'd be happy, you'd be out of it. Then you go to YouTube and say barbecue. Okay? Now we'll go back and we'll look for one more. I'll call on somebody else. Somebody else got a topic, anybody? Say again? So customer service. Customer service. Now this is Coursera. They're the largest company doing MOOCs. Laurel and I have been through Coursera, we've been through edX, we've been through NovoEd, we've been through Class Central, we've been through Canvas, and we called just the hospitality and tourism, and we put those up on that list from IFIT. But there's plenty more MOOCs out there.
Just a minute, sorry.
So customer service. Customer analytics from the University of Pennsylvania. Programming cloud services for Android health systems. Security. Programming. Ruby on Rails web services integration. Introduction to marketing at the University of Pennsylvania. That's the Wharton School of Business. It's one of the top business schools in the world. And that's a graduate level, MBA, Introduction to Marketing. That's an amazing, amazing opportunity. I applied to the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Business, but I didn't go there. They didn't let me in. Fixing healthcare delivery, organizational leadership, programming again, private partnerships, digital marketing. There's probably nobody here interested in digital marketing. Forget that. Operations management, foundations of e-commerce from Nanyang Technical University, NTU in Singapore. Entrepreneurship, launching an innovative business. Website development, brand management, aligning business brand and behavior. Business foundations, and there's more. So I'm not going to go through them. The point being, and we can go to this slide. Back to the point being, there are many, many MOOCs out there. They run at different times. Some of them have fixed dates. But it's whatever drives you. That should be the motivation. All right. So we went through Coursera.org. That's just one company. There's also MOOC List, MOOC-list, MOOClist.com, and that's a master list of all the providers. So where's Dr. Barbecue? Yeah, we didn't get any with Coursera, but you might get a barbecue one with MOOC List, because MOOC List is a broader universe. And again, Pragis has got a copy of this lecture. He'll share it with anyone. So you can take pictures now and you can get the lecture later. So what do? First of all, you choose, then you register, then you start. That's it. 1, 2, 3. And you're taking a MOOC. So we're at the end here. So a big thanks to Sri Lanka Tourism. A big thanks to University of Colombo. Big thanks to IFIT. Big thanks to Aji and Galamander Beach Resort, Galamander Unawatuna Beach. Big thanks to the U.S. Department of State for the MOOC Camp initiative. And a huge thanks to you for your questions, for your comments, for raising your hands, for sharing some things, for pronouncing MOOC correctly. MOOC? All right, good. So when you go home, you don't have to be nervous about saying, you know what it is. It's a MOOC. There we go. There we go. Very, very good. And just as Patty said, you've got to get out there and do it. So go enroll in one. Take a half an hour and look and see what's out there. Find something. You don't have to finish it. Just go play with it. Enjoy it. Okay? So if I got questions, comments, anything from anybody. Saranga, you were going to ask me.
Yeah, I was going to ask question about how we are going to Google competition.
Yeah, I'm going to get back with Dr. Saranga, and it's a whole separate subject, but I work as a consultant for Google, and I run a Google student competition. I'm the academic lead for the Google Online Marketing Challenge. And I'm going to send information to Dr. De Silva, and with luck, some of you will be competing in the Google Online Marketing Challenge next year. And I'll send you details. The other thing, and this one is, I work with a different U.S. Department of State initiative, and it's pretty sure, it's not 100% sure, but it's a social media campaign. You get $2,000 to develop a campaign to combat violent extremism. It's very, very interesting, very, very meaningful. And my wife and I got an email about some of the teams that are competing next year. And one of the teams is out of the University of Hawaii. So if you do get selected, you could be competing against the University of Hawaii. And the lecturer at the University of Hawaii is President Barack Obama's sister. So if you do get selected, you will be competing against Barack Obama's sister. Now you think, well, there might be a bit of corruption there. State Department, his sister, but it won't be there, I promise you. So anyway, stay tuned. I will get back with Dr. De Silva about that. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for introducing to us. Very well presented what we know with the on this presentation. But I think that it is not having practical lessons. For example, for why one is to learn or why is there a possibility of PhD going out of space or PhD?
I don't think they figured out virtual tasting yet, but the very first MOOCs that we had a much stronger practical focus. So the ones from Allison, like English for tourism, those have a very strong practical focus. The next ones have more of a theoretical focus. So for the practical, for the applied, that first group would be very good. Yes. Yes, sir.
If you have a list of MOOCs, especially for something, how do you find the best MOOC out of the selection?
How do you find the best MOOC out of the selection? You know, you can hear me mumbling. I don't know. I'm guessing that 2 to 3 years from now, there'll be some kind of websites that rank MOOCs based on student popularity, based on completion rate, based on difficulty. But the lovely thing is they don't cost. So you go and you look at that first week's content, you look at the 6 or 7 modules, that one on meat, probably only 1 week related to you. Or maybe you were interested in humane slaughter. So maybe weeks 2 and weeks 5 interested you. So I really can't, I know of no way other than what interests you. And that should be the driving factor. What do you want to enjoy? So just look and see what's there. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in the message there again. And I would like to now invite Mr. Amal Nanayakara to speak a few words on MOOCs. I want to thank Dr. Vijayani and this.
Thank you, Margaret. It's always nice to speak to you. Thank you, Professor, for keeping us all informed and entertained. What could you have done without technology? I would be a happy man.
All of us would wish to have such an asset again, but all of us. It's not only an insight to see to a different perception of education and to have such a wide selection of understanding of the world available in our fingertips. We were aware of Wikipedia, which we all as students have been often going and looking at. But to know that such internationally recognized universities would be having such a vast collection of knowledge available to all of us is fantastic. And I think all of us would definitely get into it and see to it and be able to do our research effectively and possibly. We thank you profusely for being with us and introducing to us. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Raghib has got up there while he's got it up there. That's the YouTube channel for IFITTtalk.
Yes. That, according to the agenda, it's the lunch break now, but before that, I have some news for you. That is my news. While we talk and listen to these interesting lectures and talking and questions, everything, we are on live streaming on YouTube right now, and that's what the architect of this program, Mr. Pradeep, is going to show you right now. This is how we are in the web right now. So before we go into the lunch break, we have 1 hour of lunch break, but before that, yes, I have to make an important announcement again. That Dr. Suranga wanted me to announce to you that they will remark the attendance, so you should be back after the break. You get the marks for your assignment, which I assigned for this, and to get the certificate as per the co-coordinator, Dr. Suranga. So let's meet after 1 hour at 1:15 p.m. Thank you.
Good morning. So I just, yeah.
Madhuri, thank you.
Itu kalau yang